But all right, let's jump into roadmap roundup. There, I imagine that there's going to be some quite upset people about this, from what I've heard, and some really happy people. So I think it's a pretty polarizing, huge change that came, and it's an unfortunate one. So, as they say, happy Wednesday, everyone. Let's make it so it's legible. There we go. And they start out with release view. The following cards have been added to release view in the Alpha 320 column. So this is everything that we saw on ISC last week. The salvage contracts cover up. Players will be contracted to strip the gang markings and paint off of a ship that was used in a crime that the gang doesn't want to get caught for. Security forces will also be searching for the ship to confirm and prosecute whoever committed the crime. And then the following features have passed their final review. Therefore, we are toggling their status to committed. Arena Commander, everything. Pretty much. Big things, new racetracks. I think that's going to just take racing and make practicing for it awesome. The new dogfighting map, Jericho Station, which is the free dogfighting map where there's nothing in the way, no asteroids really. You just fight and focus on the fight. New elimination map, Echo 11. I'm very excited for this one. I did like this map a lot, but it needed some work. Winner's Circle is the atmospheric dogfighting map, which is very, very important to practice. I think I'm somewhat decent, in comparison to your average Star Citizen player at ship combat in space. In atmosphere, I am far below average. It is much more difficult, and somewhere to practice this would be a lot of fun. And then my favorite thing is the Security Post Korea map for both Arena Commander and dogfighting, because this simulates... obviously, the dogfighting will be separate from the FPS modes, but it still simulates the experience that you could possibly have there. Now, the drama is around ship trespass. The team is taking additional time with this feature in order to further flesh it out, account for additional edge cases, and solve as many issues as possible. Therefore, we are removing this card from release view temporarily until we add it to our next major release column, or add our next major release column. That doesn't mean that it's coming in the next major release column. It's possible that it ends up at 320 again. I doubt it. But dude, we just had an ISC less than 7 days ago about this feature. And this is the one thing this is my only complaint about these things. Is why are we talking about a feature as if it's going to be a thing in the next patch before the no goes? Right? Now, I think this is a very good example of... Do you guys remember a couple weeks ago we failed our gray box review? Pat us on the back. We failed our gray box review thing. I think if this went into the game, like they're saying here, additional edge cases would have caused a lot of problems with it, right? So I think stopping now is very good. If there's edge cases that are going to be problematic, we have Elliot from the team here. And said Morph's video made some assumptions that just weren't said, and yeah. But what I take issue with is not that they're not doing this in the next patch. I would much prefer them to get things right and in a usable state that doesn't regress the game in any way. The thing that I would like to see is that when features are the way it's more the way it was communicated on ISC, that this was like a fully fleshed out thing, and pretty far along. And obviously, Luke mentioned there are a lot of edge cases, like how do we deal with ships inside of ships and things like that. But I think the way the video was edited, more than anything, is just explaining the feature as if it's coming. And I think this is one of the first items on the roadmap that I think a lot of people were like, all right, this will be a major feature of the next patch that is getting removed, right? I think the roadmap has worked largely very well in terms of things going on it and not that many things coming off of it. But it was just such a weird one. In that way. You recommended Luke to make a Spectrum post to explain and quell any assumptions. Yeah, I mean, but no matter what, it's going to be very hard to communicate. I think this is like a feature we need to be interacting with and see. What I would love to see in situations like this is see this feature like turned on in the PTU and then turned off for live. Like gather feedback in the PTU on it to be able to deal with all those edge cases when it's turned on for live. I think this is one of those features that would totally benefit from a situation like that. And again, I think where I want to take my general opinions about this situation is just like more feedback from ISC. I don't know how I feel anymore. And someone in our Discord really popped off, Brandon BRB, who's usually like extraordinarily negative and I think pretty sensational at times. I think he was like based AF as far as what he was talking about here, where every ISC we see nowadays, there's all these extra bells and whistles added to the videos of the team faking everything for B-roll. Right? Like nearly everything is faked, it feels like. Or maybe not nearly everything is fake. Let me roll back on that, but there's this extra flair put on everything that makes it very confusing and very difficult even for a veteran backer like myself to truly understand what the experience is going to be like in the patch that we get that feature. Right? Like, does everybody remember the tractor beam swinging around in Aurora? Like that was, the box of guns, right? There was a lot of there's a lot of like weird comedy going on, or weird flair, I think is the best word. And I think it's not communicating the game very well. And I think people are, even myself, are starting to get confused, right? Yeah, maybe even dramatized or whatever. And I think the more they continue to do stuff like this, the more difficult it is to tell like what we're even getting and what we're even giving feedback on or whatever, right? Like, failing to read the room and audience? No, I think what they're really trying to do is show what the feature will do long term. And I don't think that's a healthy thing to do. I think that's very roadmap 1 year out. I think that's very, showing things before they're ready. Because like a situation like Ship Trespass, again, the way it was edited confused some people. But for Ship Trespass in particular, you're looking at a feature that didn't end up making it in at all. For things like looting or ship tractor beams, you just misrepresented what it will be in the current patch, where some people may have been confused by that feature, right? So that's one of those things where they really, you need B-roll, obviously, right? Like there's no doubt you need B-roll, but it's just a lot of extra on top, and I'm not sure if that's helpful or not yet. I think we still need more time and still need for them to like find their way. I think the production value of ISC has gone up big time, and a lot of it is because of the B-roll. But I think like one of the best examples of a good ISC was the mining one. It showed the feature working, and that was it. Right? It showed the feature, somebody using the feature in the game, and that was basically it. There wasn't any like extra on top of it. But yeah, I mean that's how I feel. Like I really want them to get ship trespass correct, but I don't. But it makes me look back of like we should have probably waited a week for this inside Star Citizen. And then it really comes down to Jared and team grasping at anything they possibly can to deliver content to us because they have nothing. Right? And then this takes me all the way to CitizenCon. How in the hell are they going to have 2 days of this? I have no idea. I have no idea, dude.